How we doing? How we doing? Welcome back to the channel. Good afternoon. It is Friday. Pretty excited about this. Day two of the NFL draft. This is my favorite day of the year, probably, to be honest with you. My favorite weekend of the year is draft weekend. I always enjoy day two even more than day one. I don't know if that's like I've always liked the Steelers picks on day two a little bit more than some of their first round selections, especially recently, or if it's just, we got more picks to go through. The clock, is a little bit shorter, all those things. But going to be a really interesting night for sure. The Steelers have three picks inside the top 100. Their next picks coming up, I think they've got 51, they've got 84, and 98 still. So we'll see if they use all three of those or if, they end up moving around the board, trading up, trading down. We'll have to see. There's a lot of really talented prospects that ended up dropping out of the first round. So I want to talk about, some of the big targets for the Steelers, just in terms of like who I think they'll be interested in, potential guys to move up, priorities, like what they still need, kind of different scenarios they can go in around those things. So I appreciate you guys hopping in here. I don't want to wait too long to get into things just because we do have a little bit less time tonight. I'm going to stream until about 7 o'clock. So appreciate y'all for dropping the comments. Here we go. Can't wait. I see center then wide receivers. Yeah, I mean, I think those two are definitely the top two positions, right? Like we're going to talk about several of those different options at those two spots. But I think those were the biggest two glaring needs entering the draft. I think we all kind of knew that tackle was potentially on the board, depending on the way the board fell, especially in the first round with how loaded this class was, especially at the offensive line spot, but tackle in particular. But yeah, they got Troy Fautanu. Really big fan of that pick. I'm excited. I think they've got some good things. They got some momentum heading into day two, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited about that. My guy Will pause the film room to hop in here. Excited for day two. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, in case I'll probably remind people of that once we get more people in here. But yeah, definitely put out a 30-minute plus Troy Fautanu film room. There's like 35 plays in there where I kind of highlight his game and give my thoughts on him, show you guys some examples of some of the things I was talking about last night in the stream. So after this, be sure to go check that out if y'all are waiting around for the Steelers selection. My guy Jake's in here. Let's go. Best day of the draft. Absolutely, man. Like I said, I've always loved day two more than day one. I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things that I have always, kind of just had that feeling for. Josh, I forget why did you say Adonai Mitchell fell off people's boards? I've heard different people say that he's off a couple teams' boards. Not to get into specifics, but I think a lot of it's just like the high maintenance stuff with the health, with the diabetes, some character stuff that's come out that's just not as not as great as you'd like. But for me, like I said yesterday in the stream, I reached out to about 8 people, several of which, if not all, knew more about him personally than I did, and there was nothing to me that would have changed my feelings on like where I have him graded or if I would prefer Steelers to grab him or whatever. But I acknowledge that there's going to be some stuff to work through in terms of just being a little bit high maintenance. But to be honest with you, man, that's a lot of receivers. So my guy Tony, what's good, man? Kabuli says he doesn't think the Steelers take a center tonight. I don't know. It's interesting. I think my guy Alan Saunders from Steelers Now. I think he said that they were going to wait on center a little bit later too. We'll see. I mean, there's no guarantee, right, that Frazier or Paris Johnson is even going to be there at 51. Maybe they move up. I kind of flaunted that idea out yesterday about moving up for one of the centers. I said move up for AD Mitchell, but it'd be interesting. I don't know, man. That strategy, it depends on what they do. I would need to see the rest of like the picks before I would say I would be like livid about that. I definitely think it depends on what else they're able to get in terms of value at that pick if they do wait. If they miss out on JPJ and Frazier, who's the center you'd like best later on? I would say probably Van Pran would be my preference. I've watched Bortolini. I like Van Pran a little bit more just as a player. I watched the kid from Penn State. I talked about him a little bit yesterday. His tape was okay. I thought that he would be a decent schematic fit for Arthur Smith's system. The stuff with him really worried me because the blitz pickup stuff. Like I didn't feel like he was seeing the game as quickly as I'd like to see. And I really just kind of only watched about 2 games because I knew he wasn't going to come in my top 100 and he was going to end up being a day 3 grade for me. So I kind of just like flipped him off and went to different prospects because I was on a time crunch. He would be a guy that I would probably say you would want to get in here and like develop. But as far as like starting him from day one, based on the 2 games that I saw, I would not want to do that. Again, that's only 2 games. I could go back. I mean, they take him. I'll go back to the film and look at it a little bit deeper. But I was just on a time crunch, couldn't get to as many guys. But yeah, Van Pran would probably, if they could get him at 84 or 98 or something, depending on what they did in the second round, I could see the vision, even if I think that Van Pran is kind of limited in some different areas too. No slot cornerback at D line tonight. Yeah, I want to talk about some of that. So I did I wrote an article late last night for Steelers Now, just talking about some of the different day 2 targets. There were a couple guys in those positions you mentioned, Adam. So slot corner, I mentioned Max Melton, guy from Rutgers that they showed some interest in. He was a top 30 visitor. I did a scouting report video on him for the channel. Really good athlete. I think he fits better outside, but he has some inside-outside versatility. They moved him inside to cover Roman Wilson from Michigan. The dude's a very, 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 very fast player. He's got long arms, can play the ball at the catch point. Also provides a lot of special teams value. It seems like he's getting some top 50 buzz. So I think if they wanted him, they'd probably have to take him in the second round. But he's blocked 4 kicks in college. I always think like when you get into day 2, day 3, the more you can do, providing on special teams, it's always an added benefit for sure. Do you see the Steelers trading up for JPJ or Frazier? I mean, it could happen, man. If they keep sliding, it really just depends on what they want to prioritize, right? Do they want to be patient? I mean, Khan was really patient last night, man, with Fautanu falling all the way down to 20. I've only caught like glimpses of the press conferences just because I've been so busy trying to cut out a bunch of other content. But it seems like they were really anxiously waiting. That's that fall. I think the thing that I saw was like he said that every 10 minutes felt like a lifetime but it did show he was willing to be patient. So maybe they don't be as aggressive, or maybe there's a particular guy they want. But I think if you're talking about trade up candidates, I think it's probably going to be for one of those 2 guys, or I'm going to say that I think Mitchell's a potential candidate as well in that same realm. One of these cornerbacks fall into like Cooper DeJean, like if he were to get, I don't think he's going to be on the board for very long tonight, but if he were to fall a little bit, I think that could potentially be a possibility in terms of them wanting to trade up. But Nick said if we get JPJ to fair with Fautanu, I might get a tattoo. This is homework comment. Don't hold me to that. We may have to hold you that, Nick. Maybe we'll have to bring you on the channel again so you can show that off live. I mean, that would be a crazy haul, man. I do think it's an interesting dynamic, right? Because, like I said, I think the big 2 needs right now, very, very at the top, are center and wide receiver. I lean wide receiver being a little bit more of a need, just in terms of what they should prioritize, and that's only because the positional value argument. Receiver is more of a premier position, quote unquote, and then also just the amount of investments that and resources that they've put into the offensive line, the trenches, just in the past, 12, 13 months, signed Sam Malo in free agency. They traded up for Broderick Jones last year, drafted Troy Fautanu last night. So you got, right now the offensive line is going to end up looking like, the guards are both free agent signings that are on their second contracts that are decently paid. Now you've got 2 first-round tackles. And then, center is obviously one of those spots where they definitely need a starting caliber player. But I could see the vision in terms of prioritizing receiver a little bit more, just because, they didn't take a receiver at all last year. They traded away, their best receiver, or, definitely one of their 2 best receivers in Deontay Johnson. Still didn't really replace him in free agency. So you definitely need a wide receiver 2. You may even need a wide receiver 3. So I don't know. I probably lean wide receiver, but I think I just come back to, just play the board. Best player available, whoever the best player available at those 2 spots or whatever. Maybe I could consider some other positions in there too, but best player available at 51. And if one of those guys is ranked really highly on your board, I could definitely see going and getting them. This isn't a deep draft. Like I know Dana Jeremiah tweeted it out earlier today. I think he was like, after the top 50, man, grades are going to be all over the place. Teams, big boards, which is always really the case, probably more than like the average person realizes. But once we get outside the top 50, we're going to start seeing some off the wall picks and all that stuff. Hopefully, we see some trades, man. I would like for a chaotic day two. That's kind of my hope. My guy, appreciate the content. Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for checking it out. I'm glad you enjoy it, man. Same thing, George. Appreciate that. Can't watch live. Saw you broadcast and say hi. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Definitely enjoy y'all's night too. Like Friday, heading into the weekend, NFL draft. There'll be plenty of content on the channel for you guys, like whenever y'all get, some free time in the weekend or whatever. So Fautanu, dog, Levis State. Yeah. I'm sure I was recording that when the Fautanu film room when I was really tired, but I'm sure y'all could probably still tell that I was pretty excited about it. I like it, man. I like it. My guy Christian, appreciate you, big dog. It's cool, man. I've had several people over the past week. I think I saw somebody from Holland was hitting me up. I saw Switzerland, Mexico, Brazil. This is just all like people comment, just saying hello from different places over the past like week or two on the channel. That's really cool. That's crazy, man. It's crazy. I'll never get over that. Teams know the Steelers want a center, so they'll be looking to trade up. Potentially for sure. Dominic Pooney, yeah, I could see Pooney at center too. McCormick's another guy too. I'm curious on if he goes tonight. I think that there's a good chance that his athletic testing ended up putting him in the conversation. Tony, you think linebackers that play tonight? Yes, sir. That was one of my day two targets. I'll pull it up. I'm not going to share my screen, but I'll just make sure I hit on all these guys. But yeah, linebacker is a spot. I mean, they did kind of look at some different guys. They brought in Junior Colson, I believe, for a top 30. Peyton Wilson for a top 30 as well. But the guy I keep coming back to is North Carolina's Cedric Gray. I think that if they're going to take a linebacker, he's one of the targets. I think probably at that 84, 98 spot. He might go a little bit later, but I like Gray's tape. I think the coverage ability that he offers is really good. That's probably his biggest strength. I feel like he's got a nice athletic profile too. Comfortable with his back to the football, plays through the receiver's hands. He's got good spatial awareness in zone. He's more of a good athlete than a great one, but he does have good range. I worry a little bit about Gray on early downs because his instincts are hit or miss, in my opinion, especially against the run. And he's a net negative. Like when people get up in the second level, like when offensive linemen get latched onto him, he's just not breaking free, man. It's tough. And that's the case with a lot of these college linebackers that come out these days. Even Gray, I think he's listed like 235. I don't know what he weighed in at the combine. I should have probably looked. But these linebackers, man, it's not like the old days where people could just stack and shed. You don't see those guys a ton. Who's another receiver you like in round two besides AD? I think either the Washington kids, if they were to stay put at 51, would be nice. If Polk was still there, if McMillan was still there, I prefer McMillan a little bit over Polk, but two really good players, two guys that I have in my top 50. So I think the value kind of lines up as well. McMillan was real dangerous, man, 2 years ago. He was banged up last year. I think that kind of hurt his stock, and a lot of people are sleeping on him right now, but he's a guy who can work option routes underneath. He's got pretty solid yards after catch ability, comfortable adjusting the balls away from his frame. I mean, he can win at all three levels. I think he could play inside, outside too. And then like Polk, he does a little bit of everything. He don't have like superb athleticism or anything that really stands out aside from the fact that his ball skills are excellent. I mean, just the strength, his ability to come up with contested catches despite not being, the biggest, the tallest, the, springiest guys, a real dependable aspect of his game. I think he's probably a guy that can play a little bit of inside, outside as well. Probably both those guys are probably going to settle in as like number 2 wide receivers in the league. I think if they hit their ceilings, but I would like for both. The problem is they formally met with McMillan at the combine, but they didn't show any interest in Polk, which is really surprising to me because he's a little bit bigger, and I figured that would be maybe an Arthur Smith type guy. We know Smith's got some pull, man. We've already seen some guys brought over, not necessarily anybody crazy, but yeah, if you guys are hearing things from like the quote unquote insiders or reliable sources, y'all drop them in the comments because like obviously as I'm streaming, I'm looking into the camera and then I'm also looking at my chat to keep up with all the questions and stuff. Anything y'all want to know, I'll definitely try to answer. But I can't keep up with the rumor mill on Twitter, if that's what you want to call it. People are going at Gary. No way we go linebacker unless Holcomb's toast. I think that's the thing, man. I think that's the way that I'm not saying he's toast. I think there's a lot of uncertainty about when he's going to be back. So I think you got to at least consider it. I'm just reading the tea leaves. Like they've shown some interest in those guys. I would rather have I'd rather have Frazier, a fast wide receiver, in round two. Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I go. Dulac just said that Fautanu was the second tackle behind Alt on the Steelers board. Huh, that's weird. Somebody else's big board looked like that too. That's funny. I really want to go find that. I want to make sure I have that. It's funny, funny, funny. Pittsburgh won't have to trade up for JPJ or Frazier. We'll see. I mean, I think it's difficult to say one way or another, right? See, this is what I'm talking about, man. Y'all are crazy. Another shout out from Holland. Y'all are nuts. Kentucky Smith from Georgia be an option at slot corner at the second pick in round three, or is it safety? To me, he plays like a Steeler. Yeah, I mean, I think that Smith could definitely kind of give you some like box safety nickel versatility. I think that that's probably around the range, like some middle round, maybe third, fourth round is probably the range where I see him coming off the board. His film was pretty solid. He came in with a day three grade for me outside my top 100, but I did like some of his tape. Really comfortable in trail coverage. I like his physicality, just the way he plays. I know he's had some trouble staying healthy, but it was good to see him like out there on the field last year and actually like contributing and stuff. Derek, how would you feel about Troy Franklin at 51? It's cool with me. I think Franklin's a solid player. He's a top 40 player for me, but I just don't know. Like I go back and forth on whether I know they met with him formally at the combine, but I just go back and forth on if Franklin's a guy that they're actually going to like. He is just not the frame that they typically look for. I mean, he's a beanpole. So, and I don't see like he's not some of the skinnier receivers that people say, oh, he'll grow into his frame. Like I do not see that with Troy Franklin. Um, but he's got a lot of speed. I mean, he made a ton of explosive plays over the past 2 years. You talk about production. I know that matters to a lot of people. Like he was incredibly productive at Oregon. Um, but he can win on a vertical plane. I think he's probably a pretty seasoned route runner as well. But he had a great career. I was like honestly like but wildly back and forth on him throughout the whole cycle because I had to go back and watch quite a bit. Thoughts on still signing Boyd or Connor Williams if they sit tight at 51? I mean, sure. I think the Boyd ship is probably passed, but Williams is interesting. I just don't know like if he's gonna play. That's the question. Is he gonna play? I think Roman Wilson is the pick at 51. Man, I don't know. That wouldn't be what I would do. I know Roman Wilson has some fans. I'm just a little bit lower on him than the consensus. But the speed thing, I could see, wanting another speed threat to kind of take the top off. And he does compete as a blocker, even if, he's a little small, obviously. I believe we're trading up. I think it's a possibility. I want to get to Taylor's question. What teams ahead of the Steelers may potentially need a center? That's a good question. Let's look at the board here. Carolina's one, right? Because they took Leggett. They still have another second round pick. They're a team that I could see taking a center. Trying to see like who else for sure would want one. I mean, Philly always has like a stockpile of reserve linemen, but they did lose Kelsey, so it wouldn't surprise me, I guess, crazily if they took a center. I guess I don't know if they signed anybody in free agency. Buffalo lost Mitch Morris. I feel like Buffalo's probably taking a receiver here at 33. I feel like that's what they're gonna do, but I mean, who knows? To be honest with you, there was some smoke about maybe Green Bay taking center, but I think didn't they take Jordan Morgan? So they already took one offensive lineman. I don't know if they take another one. I think Jacksonville needs a center because I think they've had center problems over the past couple of years. I don't know what that looks like, but they do pick a couple spots ahead of the Steelers. So, jumping them and getting in front of them, for example, is not going to cost you a ton. But, it is something to think about. You may have to do if you really want one of those guys, or if, one of those guys comes off the board and you want the other one. Javon Baker season. Yeah, Jake. That's Jake's wide receiver one right there. McMillan Polk. I like Baker. I like Baker too. I'm really surprised that they didn't show any interest in Baker at all throughout the entire like process. It is weird to me because I feel like he's a guy who can beat press. He had a lot of explosive plays, but he's a bigger bodied guy. He can climb the ladder. Seems like Arthur Smith would be able to use him in this offense. I mean, if it's Roman Wilson, I'm not gonna have like a full blown meltdown or anything like that. I just don't I don't love him in the top 50-51 picks or whatever. Who's your favorite second round DT if the board doesn't fall our way to get a wide receiver center? Man, if Johnny Newton's there at 51, they need to run this card up. Like they should have ran it up already. I cannot. I mean, I know that there's the foot thing. He's got the whatever they call it, the metatarsal issue or whatever. And there's some people, I guess, scared that he may have like a high re-injury risk. But Newton was a top 10 player. He was the top defensive player in the entire draft to me. I mean, he was exceptional. His tape was. I mean, I don't know. I think that I can confidently say like his tape was better than anyone else in the class that I watched, just from a consistency standpoint. I I mean, he wrecked. I watched probably 4 or 5 games of his, and he dominated in every single one of them. But like the Penn State game was, I mean, he just took over. They couldn't block him. The Wisconsin game was the exact same thing. I mean, there was just multiple games where I was just flipping on. No one could block him. So I don't know. It's crazy to me, especially like all these interior pass rushers that are getting paid, man. And we know like how much interior pressure affects the quarterback, especially from an accuracy perspective, from a comfortability perspective. And we're letting this type of like refined pass rusher with amazing hands, multiple pass rush moves, counters, and like first step, we're letting this guy go fall out the first round. It's crazy. So to answer your question, Johnny Newton would be my guy. Prepare myself for a day 2 shout out from Germany. Y'all are nuts. I appreciate the super. What time is it in Germany? I feel like that's crazy. I mean, it's 6 o'clock here. I don't know what the time difference is. If AD Mitchell falls to 40, they need to go get him. Love the channel, my guy. Appreciate you, Benjamin. Thank you for the super chat. I also agree with you, man. He starts sliding. Y'all know I want to move up. I'm about it. I'm about it. Let's see here. Get to the chat. Some other like defensive tackles, though, Nick, to answer your question. I could see Rook Arroyo from Clemson. I could see them liking him. I like Chris Jenkins a good amount too. So there's definitely some defensive tackle guys on the board. It's just tough, right? Because you got your starters in place next year, but you would really like to get a developmental guy, especially with Cam's age, Ogunjobi's inconsistencies. You'd love to get that. Oh my God, no, it says Sup from Saturn. It's good. Okay, but why the extra cap for Highsmith? I mean, they were going to need to clear space anyway, right? To sign the draft picks here in a couple weeks. So I think it was just one of those things where you just getting prepared. Get prepared just in case somebody becomes available. You know what I'm saying? Like if Debo or whatever, you ask around the asking price, Cortland Sutton. I honestly think if the Steelers don't go receiver here in round 2, I think Cortland Sutton is going to be a Steeler. I would be kind of surprised if it didn't happen, to be honest with you, just because they need a veteran. They need a number 2. He's a fine number 2, excuse me. I see we got 200 people in here. So people starting to gravitate in preparation. If y'all could just do me a favor, if y'all could hit that like button for me, I'd appreciate it. Free, easy, cheap way to, support the channel, helps get this content out there to other people. But I'm very appreciative if you do that for me. Thank you. Biggest concern with Franklin is the hands. I don't think it's necessarily the hands specifically for me, because 2 years ago his hands were completely fine. He did have some focus drops last year, but he will make catches away from his frame. So like it doesn't really bother me as much. I don't think he's an unnatural catcher. The tracking ability deep is a little bit, it's not good enough to make me feel great about taking a receiver with his type of profile in the first round. And that's why he kind of slid in, like he was in the second round for me. But I do think he's a better route runner, I think, than like people are maybe giving him credit for. But Chris Jenkins, if we don't trade up for Zach, Brendan Weiss is my wide receiver two. Wide receiver two? I don't know about that, man. That's crazy to me. But I do like Chris Jenkins. I'm thinking Corley. Yeah, they may do that. It's rich for me, but Corley has a lot of forecasters that have him in the top 50 or somewhere around that range. So it wouldn't be overly surprising. Um, I love the things that Corley can do with the ball in his hands. I love the contact balance, the leg drive, the physicality that he plays with. He wants to run through people's faces, stiff arms when he's got the ball. You can feed him touches underneath and quick game, jet sweeps, things like that. I just don't think there's enough of a receiver profile to warrant taking a guy like that in the second round. I just think like the tape that's out there, which is minimal of him being able to even run routes, I just don't think it's good enough. And there's nothing necessarily in his profile that makes me think he can't become a better route runner. I think he can, but there's nothing in his profile that says this dude's going to be a very good separator at the next level either. So it feels like a guy that you're going to have to bring along extremely slowly. That has opinion just I think that gadgety yak type skill set is, I mean, it's useful, but how valuable is it? Is it valuable enough to take in the top 50? I think that's the biggest question for me. But they may take him. I mean, they showed a lot of interest in him. Saw him at the Senior Bowl. I can't remember if they had a forum with him at the combine or not, but I know they sent, I think, the wide receivers coach to Western to see him at his pro day too. And that's something too, like you can probably get a good feel for in workouts, like watching him move, seeing how he can break down. I honestly, the thing is with Corley too, the reason why he's I'm lower on him than consensus. I really felt like Western kind of stunted his development by some of the things they were doing to him in that offense. They were making him a gadget guy. I mentioned this yesterday, but the first 3 plays of one of the games that I watched were screen passes to him. And it's like, dude, I know y'all want to get this dude the ball, but can we see him do something else? This is just awful. Richard, over under 3.5 monsters. I did good yesterday, y'all. I did really good, man. I thought y'all would be proud of me, to be honest with you. I only had like basically the equivalent of 1.5 monsters. Now tonight, we may have to get a little crazy, especially if they end up picking three players. It's gonna be a long night for your boy. Because I'll have to write a couple articles, of course, and then I'll do some type of reaction or post draft night 2 thing on here, whether that's going live or just a quick reaction video, and then just diving into the film stuff. It's gonna be a lot. Dakota, what's good, man? Greetings, Broncos fan here. I'm happy for Bo Nix coming. I think that's a pretty good fit for Bo, to be honest with you. He was right outside of my top 50, but I thought that Sean Payton's offense was definitely somewhere that he could really hit the ceiling of what he could potentially become. I love the accuracy. I love the quick game stuff underneath. He's got a little bit of playmaker mobility to him. He's tough. I like how he got better every single year. I wouldn't have taken him in the top of the first round personally, but it's always fun. Like anytime like your team gets a new quarterback, that's always like, it's always exciting. Everybody, is hyped up about that. Yeah, it was hot last year, 100%. Would you give up one of our 3rd round picks if it's for the right player? Absolutely, I would. I would move up and give up one of those 3rd round picks. I'd move up into like the late 30s to get Mitchell. I would do that for Powers Johnson. There's several players I'd do that for, to be honest with you. I think those 2 just come to mind because I think they're the best players available at the spots that the Steelers need the most help at, right? My guy Jay, Green Bay keeps taking center in my mocks. Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff out there about them maybe taking a center because I think there's a debate on if Zach Tom's going to play center. Is he going to play right tackle? I think they should just keep him at right tackle. He's a good right tackle. You move to center, you're just going to need a right tackle. And I think the argument could be made, well, there was a lot of tackles in this class you could go get. Yeah, that's true. But you already have a good one. Why mess it around? Why mess it up, I think AD will slide to us. Corey, I hope so, brother. I hope so. How bad will Dan Moore have to be for how long for Fautanu to finally get his chance this year? I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and guarantee that Fautanu is gonna play week one. I told y'all last year I didn't think Broderick would play week one. I am more optimistic about Fautanu playing week one, but it, it may or may not happen. Probably just depends on how camp goes, how preseason goes. But I mean, Dan would definitely be on like a short leash, right? Like they're not going to let him go straight for 8 weeks before they put Troy out there. I don't think. Let's see here. Another super. Just share my stream to my Facebook. 140K subs. Hope it helps. There will be a center, Omar. Thank you very much. I appreciate you sharing the stream. Yeah, if you guys know like people that are Steelers fans, NFL draft fans, definitely tell them to come check the stuff out. I hope I can be a good resource um, for this kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean center at 51. I mean if there's one there, if Jack Spires Johnson or Zach Frazier is there at 51, I think that's good for sure. TJ Tampa, I want to say he was 72nd off the top of my head. Really unique kind of play style. He plays in a funky defense though, which makes his projection kind of weird. But I love the length, and he actually like moves laterally pretty well for his size. It's another one of those cases, man, where like the long speed concerns me. Would you take Sweat? I'm not really that interested in Sweat, man, to be honest with you. I'm just not. I understand the allure, but it's just not for me. I just don't think he's as disruptive as I would want for a player that I would have to spend a day two pick on. Provide and just combined with the fact that the DUI thing or whatever he got in trouble for, like how can you not stay on the straight and narrow, man, when you're 5 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever from changing your life completely. It's just crazy. Texans, Packers, Chargers, Bills, Cards, Jags, Panthers. Yeah. Okay, so this is good info, right? Jake is a Packers fan. He does great work over there on his channel, so y'all should go sub, especially for like more draft content because Jake watches a lot of people, way more than I do. But he's saying he'd be surprised if it wasn't defense for Green Bay at 41. So that makes it interesting, right? That takes a potential center team off the board. Jake, who they wouldn't consider Frazier though, right? The Packers, because don't they like young athletic players, right? Frazier doesn't really fit the profile for them, I would guess. I want to move up into the 30s without trading 51. I trade a high future day two pick. I mean, yeah, if you can find somebody to tango with. My guy don't sleep. Oh, we're just getting started, brother. We're getting started. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I feel honestly like really good. I got a little nap in today. I feel great. Tomorrow, I'm probably gonna be dragging though. Tomorrow's gonna be rough. I'm sure, but it's worth it. I love it. Subbed after yesterday's 2 streams. Just wanted to give you a shout out for the great work. Appreciate you. Thank you for the sub. Appreciate that. I can't. I'm still in disbelief, man. Yeah. Nick saying, don't forget Newton can bend. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. Like when you're watching defensive tackles, or like really, I mean, any rusher, but like we talk about it a lot for edge rushers, but it's really important for interior rushers too. Like, how do they play through contact? Can they bend through contact? Or because some of these quicker guys on the interior, especially, they could be guys with their hands, they can set guys up with their feet, and they can get into gaps. But then the offensive lineman can recover and just basically like shove one hand out there and it sends them flying, or they go way off track, off balance. With Newton, he almost seems like he doesn't even lose any type of momentum. And that's the thing where you get like the really, really special pass rushers, the guys that are incredibly quick with their feet and their hands, but they can also play through contact. So I don't know. I'm bullish on him. I think I tweeted it last night. I think that the NFL made a massive mistake last night, letting him fall out of the first round. But I'm really excited for where he goes because he will 100%. Guys that I'm higher on than the consensus, there's usually about it. Some players, whether it's first round, second round, third round, guys that I'm higher on than the consensus, I try to go back and like keep up with them just to see because I want to know if I'm right or wrong, and I obviously enjoy their tape a lot. So I try to keep up with them in the league, even if they don't end up in Pittsburgh. Jags signed Mitch Moore, so they should be looking for a center. Okay, so that's good. That's a good point. So that's a good move for them then, because honestly, like I said, whoever they had playing there, was it Fortner? He was brutal. When I watched quite a bit of Jags last year when the Steelers weren't on, mainly because I have Lawrence on my fantasy team. I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much for the super chat. It's very kind. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. But yeah, they definitely needed a center. So Morse is a good player. 11:53 in Germany, 9 hours ahead. Crazy, crazy. All right, let's see here. I'm falling behind, man. Y'all are doing great in the comments, but I'm like 10 minutes behind. So minutes away. My guy Joe. Yeah, you guys are gonna have to. I know we got like 237 people in here. Y'all are gonna have to go chill with Joe and them, Zach, all them at the around the 412 channel. Whenever I get off, I'm gonna get off probably like quarter to seven before the draft kicks off. I got some people coming over to watch it, so we're gonna do that. I'll hop off. Y'all can go over there, hang out. Those dudes are really entertaining. I was popping in and out of their stream last night, interacting. So 4 Pacific time. That was crazy. I could never get used to that. I'm McLovin some McMillan lately. He's a good player, man. I'm telling you, man. Go back and watch 2022. That's it. 2022. Y'all gotta go watch it. You're still at 51. I think Sammer's still. I'm a little bit lower than the consensus on him, but I do love like certain parts about his game. Like I would be happy to have him in Pittsburgh. I think 51's a little bit early for me personally, but I still think he's got the potential to be, a solid starter. Some of the things I really liked about him was just like the competitiveness, the attitude. I think he's really good in zone coverage. Shows good spatial awareness. He's a former receiver, right? And I think it really helps him because he understands route combinations. And he also has pretty good ball skills. I think he had like 5 or 6 picks last year, even though some of them were kind of gimmies. But, I do think that there's value in that. I think the lack of size is obviously something that is concerning. But I think the big thing for me was I just didn't feel like he was overly sticky in man coverage. And that was something that worries me because he's going to lose at the catch point at some point. And that's not really a huge deal as long as you're staying sticky. But if guys are getting open against you and you have no chance of making a play in coverage, like at the catch point, it worries me a little bit, to be honest with you. But he's awesome against the run. The dude will hit too. He will hit. He's a fun player to watch. Isaiah Mitchell's going to Buffalo. I will be so sad for like 5 minutes, and then I would realize I'd get to see him with Josh Allen, and I think that would be cool. Zach, oh great, this guy's on here again. All weekend, man. All weekend. Who is Nor? To be honest with you, we're getting that Cortland guy from Denver. Yeah, I mean, if they don't, if they don't get a receiver at 51 or in the second round, I feel like that's the play. Heck, I mean, depending on who it is at 51, it still may be the play, depending on the asking price. Mid Kuiper is in the chat, y'all. Smith system is a better fit than other teams. Is he though? I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to see it. I'd have to see it, man. Down goes Frazier. I can see us drafting McConkey from Georgia. Yeah, I think he's gonna be off the board before 51. I could see Buffalo taking him and preferring him honestly to Mitchell just because some of the off the field stuff, but we'll see. McConkey stop and start's crazy, man. Like his cutting for the route running stuff is exceptional. I do worry about him. I know they've got some slot guys already. Like they got Curtis Samuel. They still got Shakir, a guy that I liked a decent amount a couple years ago. He really came on. He had a really good playoff game against the Steelers. Now that I remember it, still not over it. But I think McConkey could probably play outside, but he's going to have to develop a little bit better against press. He didn't see it a lot against Georgia. He torched off coverage, but I just feel like the release plan, the release package was a little lacking, especially for a guy that's not going to have Obviously, exceptional play strength or anything like that, given his kind of thin frame. There's 6 guys still on the board that you have inside your top 30. Mitchell, Newton, DeJean, Powers Johnson, McKinstry, McConkey just need a one to fall. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of good players available. I try to not get too excited because every time I feel like this, it's like, oh, how did this dude drop out of the first round? And I'll say that about a couple players and they go like 33, 34, 35. But it is optimistic, especially for the positions that the Steelers need. You still got 2 centers on the board. You got a couple corners that I like, a couple receivers as well. So, trade our future second for Newton. Yeah, yeah, 100%. The thing with Newton, it just doesn't fit their typical like height, weight, length measurables. They're kind of old school with that. So we'll see. I don't know. I would love for them to go away from that though. It would definitely be the move for me. Tomlin said he's going with tackle. If AD Mitchell and JPJ are both there at 51, who are you taking? Oh man, that's so tough. I don't know. The vibes tell me AD Mitchell. It's probably smarter to take Powers Johnson, but I'm just letting y'all know. I tweeted this out a week or two ago, but if Mitchell if he ends up a Steeler, I'm going on an epic tirade, rant. We're popping bottles at the crib, and I don't even drink. I haven't drank a sip of alcohol in 7 years, and I'm definitely gonna have to take a shot or something because I will be over the moon. I don't know what I'm gonna do. We may have to give away a jersey or something. Wide receiver too. Oh, is that about the Brennan Rice? What's good? What's good? Yeah. So, dude, the board, man, the board looks good. Bullard or Lassiter are a better fit for us hypothetically. I like Bullard better personally, just because I feel like Bullard has split safety versatility. I think he can play deep half. I think he could potentially play free, not all the time, but occasionally if you wanted to rotate your guys. But he can play in the box. He's awesome in the slot. The dude runs the alley extremely well. He's really physical, really explosive coming downhill. I like him better. Lassiter to me is strictly a slot cornerback just because the glaring lack of speed. He's also extremely grabby in coverage, and I cannot believe that about that a little bit more because he only had like 1 penalty last year, which was the craziest stat that I think I looked up the entire draft cycle. But if they took Lassiter at like 51, I wouldn't necessarily hate it. If they got him later than that, I would probably like it. So hopefully that answers your question. But Bullard's like a guy that I would like a lot. I think he's fun, and I think Steelers fans would just fall in love with him extremely quickly. Jake graduated from Noseball University. Absolutely. Derek has me cocky with my draft knowledge. I'm trying to help, man. Trying to help. You know how we do it, man. We just talk ball. Yeah, I'd imagine if they took a center, it would be Norzad. I'm still probably saying his name wrong. Puni Bortolini. You don't think they take Powers Johnson? I feel like that was who I was envisioning that. I'm not streaming during the draft, but Smitty, Joe, all those guys will be streaming on the around the 412 channel. So after I get off, whatever, y'all, I'll be heading over there to pop in and out with them. So I'll be in the chat or whatever too. So y'all can go hang out with them. And then I'll have like reaction stuff. I may go live depending on who they draft, how excited I am, how hyped up on Monsters energy drinks I am. But I'll be back after. I just got company coming over, man. There's a lot of people who think last night's pick could be the real deal. I'm one of them. I really do. I'm one of them, man. I really like Fautanu's game. I woke up this morning after my nap and I was kind of like felt like a fever dream. I'm just so surprised that he dropped. It has to be related to the injury stuff, I guess. Some teams just probably just had him flagged for that. McMillan's so smooth. I know, man. I know. I think it was. I'm trying to figure this out. I can't remember if Nick's still in here. He would probably know. But I think it was Nate Tice said that McMillan reminded him of Christian Kirk, and that was just yeah, that was a good comp. I felt like because Kirk's a guy who could like win at all three levels. He's not like an exceptional or a number one guy, but like he's a good number two. I think that that's what McMillan could potentially be if he hits his ceiling. I prefer Andrew Phillips over Sanders still. They finished not super close for me. Phillips is interesting, man, because I know there's a lot of people that love him. Like Dane Brugler has him. I think it's like his 60th ranked player. Um, so he does have some fans. I just his tape is it's a little bit rough. He bites on everything as far as like anything breaking in front of him. It's tough. I don't know though. I do like some of the stuff in terms of like him coming downhill. But it just I don't know. I felt like the further away from the line of scrimmage he got, the worse the results were. Derek versus Deke would be insane. Deke was in my chat. I think it was the day that they traded for Fields, and people were going crazy. Um, but he's funny. I don't watch that. I don't watch like his stuff a ton, but I know he puts in a lot of work with this stuff. The Gene at 51, brother. I don't know. I don't want to say he won't, but I'm saying he's not going to be there at 51. That's a good question. Derek, any guys you left you trade up for if you were in charge? Mitchell, Newton, Powers, Johnson for sure. Like those three would be the guys that I would probably be really excited about trading up for, especially if it was only going to cost me one of these 2 third-round picks they got. I kind of want to see that, to be honest. As much as it would be cool to pick 3 players, and they got enough needs to where they could definitely use the 3 players, I kind of want to see them go up and get one of these guys that fell out of the first round and just pick 2 guys tonight. And it would kind of help me out from a work life sleep balance standpoint if I didn't have to do the 3-player stuff, but we'll see. It'll be fine regardless. What's good? What's good? We need BA. Bro, is IU getting traded or what? What's going on? They gonna trade him or Debo? It sounds like it's gonna be Debo, right? Like it sounds like it's probably gonna be Debo. I'm just I don't know. I think they've got to trade one of them now, right? Because they drafted Pearsall at the end of the first round. I feel like they wouldn't have taken him in the first round if they were going to keep both those guys. Because they also have Juan Jennings. I know he's not a player that's going to affect your draft plans, but he's a nice complimentary piece. I don't know. I'll take Ayuk though, 100%. Y'all know my stance on that. Keon Coleman would be the pick in round 2. How we feeling about Coleman, man? Y'all agree with that? I don't know. It like in round 2, I can see the vision sort of. I'm just not a huge fan, to be honest with you. I think he was like in this early 60s for me, but I could see it at 51. I still think the round 1 stuff for him was just bizarre that we were even talking about that, but that's just me. I'm obsessed with anything football anymore. It's like, okay, interesting. Haven't drank in 7 years. I will be tonight, 100%. We don't need you to break your sobriety for a draft pick. No, I definitely need to, 100%. It's not like a sobriety thing. Like I had a drinking problem. I don't like to drink. I will be tonight though. If they draft Mitchell, I will be. I'm gonna have somebody go to the liquor store. My wife had to go get me a mic because we had all the technical issues yesterday. But I guess she'll be going to get a bottle or something. We'll have to celebrate. I don't think I can do it on stream though, because I think that's against the YouTube rules, which probably rightfully so. But maybe I'll like take a video of it, post it on Twitter. I'll be really excited if we do that. Da-da-da. It'll be fire. Oh yeah. Oh yes. That film room. If we get the AD film room, be legendary. I'll put a lot of work into that one because a lot of the narratives I see kind of going around, man, just not a fan, man. Petitioning for a raise. Appreciate that, man. Y'all keep supporting the channel. That's all I need. That's all I need. I'm glad y'all like the content. Oh, let's see. I can't wait till Derek can upload a film without penalty. Well, I mean, I'm testing the waters. I posted the Five Tony film room. So if you guys haven't, if I know we got 200 people in here now, but if y'all haven't checked that out, like the Five Tony film room is on the channel. It's live, so y'all can go look. It's like a 30-something minute, 35 plays or something like that is what I cut it down to. I had over 50 clips on my computer. I had to cut it down because I knew it was going to be too long. But this film's crazy, man. It's crazy, crazy. Super fun player to watch. Very interesting. Thoughts on Jermaine Burton? Very good player. Excellent vertical threat. Good body control. He can break guys off, get in and out of routes efficiently. I feel like wasn't asked to run like a full route tree. I just think like that's another player that you're looking at like with the off the field stuff. You know, what's he like? What's the character like? You know, he had the incident after the game last year. But Photo time film room has me accepting the pick. I still would have took Mitchell. Hey, we're gonna get them both. We'll get them both. It's no big deal. What's good? What's good? We're doing well, man. What time even is it? It's almost 6:30. So we got about 20 minutes or so. Not too bad. I kind of want Keon Coleman. I don't know, man. I would be at 51, okay. I wouldn't be like, crashing my keyboard or anything like that. Five Tony's hands and movement skills are rare. Unreal, man. His hands are so quick. I'm just telling y'all, man. I'm just being honest. There are just not very many people that can move like he can at left tackle. Did y'all see that clip? I posted it in the film room, but I also posted it on Twitter. Did you all see that clip against Washington State of him doing the spin? I mean, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Taking me at 51? Absolutely not, man. I'm 30 years old now. I'm on the downside of my career. That's the thing. There's a tweet that goes viral from time to time, and it's like, man, like you feel good about yourself, like you have your whole life ahead of you, and then some announcer's talking about, oh, he's 31 years old, he's almost washed, and I think about it like, man, that's pretty bad. Makes me feel terrible about myself. Mark Madden loved it. He loved the pick. I'm shocked. I'm really shocked. I gave McMillan and Nate Washington. Ooh. Nate was a good player. Hand work off the snap. Crazy, man. That snatch trap is so fun to watch. Like I said, I literally have over a dozen clips of him working that. We could have made an entire video off that, to be honest with you. What do you think about Luke McCaffrey? I watched like a game and a half. I didn't really see anything like super intriguing. So I kind of moved on a little bit. But I know they brought him in for a top 30. It's just he was one of the guys I just like, if they end up taking him, I'll just go back and watch the film on him. I knew he wasn't going to come in the top 100, so I just didn't want to finish the eval. I'd take Max Melton or Green. Yeah, man, Renardo Green would be super dope. He'd be super dope, especially if he's going to go like where a lot of the forecasters have him go, like around the 100 range or potentially even falling into day 3. Man, if he escapes tonight and doesn't get picked, which in my opinion he should, because y'all see how highly I have him rated. But if he gets out of the night, that would be a very, very intriguing player with that 4th round pick tomorrow night or tomorrow during the day, I guess you could say. Let's see. Get Van Pran in the 3rd. I think that's probably the move, right? How about Derek versus TK? Be trying to put me in no beefs, man. I don't have no beef with nobody. Just mind my own business. I didn't get a touch of sleep. Just worked a 12.5-hour shift. May you were in here after the. I'm pretty sure you was in here after the stream or after the draft last night. So you really didn't get no sleep. I respect it, man. I respect it. Hopefully you ain't got to work on the weekend or whatever. Let's see. Yes, Brian, this is a good shout. Late round fire on Ulafaccio. Supposed to be a great athlete. Yeah, I didn't actually. He was one of the players that I really, really, really did not, or really, really hated not getting to evaluate um, this cycle. But I did write about him for Steelers Now before the college football playoffs because he kept popping for me whenever I would watch them live. I think he's a nice little player. He would be a good day three pick. I feel like. Da-da-da-do. Galaxy Brain. They trade Jennings. Hey, Jennings can come over here. We take him. Did he signed what a? Did he sign a tender? Was that a restricted free agent tender that he get? Um, KG. That was Quinion Mitchell, not AD. Multiple Mitchells in this class. Debo cap hit is bananas. What is his cap hit if he gets traded? I don't even know what it is because I just kind of didn't really think about him trading him or them trading him until now. Gun in my head, I think I prefer Keon Coleman over Roman Wilson. I agree, especially for the Steelers. I know a lot of people. There's still a lot of people saying. I think it's just stemming from the Senior Bowl where everybody was saying that he was all like Tomlin was all over Roman Wilson. But he would be one of the more surprising picks if they took a receiver on day 2 and it was him. I would be surprised by that. Mm-mm-mm. Nick, grass is better. Y'all are crazy. It's been 28 years for me. I mean, I'm on my way, man. I'm a quarter of the way there. But you gotta think about it. Zach, he's been smacked on live before. Yeah, but like I'm talking about, I know that you have been. I'm talking about like, could I take I can't take a shot on YouTube, could I? I don't think that would be good. Or I'd have to limit like my restrictions or something like that to like 18 and over. I just don't know if that's a good idea. The bootleg guys drink on stream all the time. Okay. Big Ben has a show. This is really funny. So I'm sure like a lot of you guys probably know this if you followed me for a long time. I was obviously a huge Big Ben guy. Uh, love watching him play. I probably have watched maybe a combined 10 minutes of his podcast. And it's not that it's not any good. Like the clips I see are fine. I just don't have any interest in watching it. I don't know. I don't know. But I know they do drink on there because like people, I don't know. I feel like I've seen clips where he's been pouring up. Let's see. DB, I just found it yesterday, but I'm a subscriber for life. Appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for the subs. Doing dishes, not ignoring my people. I appreciate the love. Yeah, pick start in 20 minutes. So it's 6:30 right now. All right, we got 222 people in here. If you guys could do me a favor, just make sure that you like the video so we can get this thing out to as many people as possible. Help support the channel. Like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications. There's a film room up on Fautanu. Y'all can go check that out after I get off here. But whenever I end my stream, which will be in about 15, 20 minutes probably, make sure y'all head over to the Around the 412 channel. Those guys out there, Joe, Smitty, who are in the chat right now, they're going to be doing their own stream. And you guys can go, talk ball with them if y'all want some entertainment, instead of listening to, the ESPN, or the talking heads or whatever. So definitely do that. His ability to reset and recover from a bad position is fun to watch. It's a huge part of offensive line play, man. I mean, it's a huge part of cornerback play too, but like getting yourself out of compromising positions it's absolutely a huge part. And Fautanu does it at an elite level. The recovery balance, the athleticism. Yeah. It's pretty absurd. Is there a reason Fautanu is not higher because of his physicals? I don't know. I think that they're to me, it seemed like he was going to be a top 10-ish pick, top 10, top 12. But there was some stuff about, I know he had the ACL tear years ago, the Liz Frank. There was some stuff out there that people were, I guess, maybe teams were concerned about. I don't know. I kind of, when I was doing my write ups for Steelers now, I literally said, like, the NFL's losses, the Steelers' gains. I mean, that's obviously they're comfortable with the medical side of it. They met with him several times, you know, at the combine, top 30. I'm sure that they have a good grasp for how healthy he is and how healthy he's going to be. I'm not concerned about it. He started, 18 or what did he start, like 28 games or something like that over the past 2 years. He's been durable on the field. So, and his tape's good. So I just don't really have a ton of concern. I'm glad that other people did, though. How crazy is the receivers in this draft? The Steelers are going to get a receiver. Don't worry. They're going to get a receiver. We got to speak it into existence. Can we talk about Pearsall real quick? Because I'm from the Bay, and that is a hot topic. Debo might go to the Bills or the Pats, but I would like Debo. What y'all think? Yeah, Pearsall, I didn't see that one coming, man. I did not see that one coming. But, I mean, Pearsall's a good player. I like this tape. I think he's going to kill it in Shanny's system. But it does make me think that Debo or Ayuk, one of those two guys, is going to be on the move, which is really interesting to see, where that is. Sleeper, you did. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Clear alcohol, they can't prove it. No, it's definitely not good. I don't know, man. Doug, I just answered this. I didn't see it beforehand, but yeah. Wilson at the Senior Bowl. That's where the hype began. Yeah, I mean, I know he won a couple reps, but I don't know. I don't know that I saw him like win the day or like he was embarrassing or anything. And y'all got to know too, like one-on-ones, the receivers should be winning the vast majority of one-on-ones. There's no help. That's not how defense is played. You should be winning a bunch of one-on-ones. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate that. Thank you, Stan. Fit check today. Yeah, what Smitty got on, man? He was in a cowboy hat yesterday. Excited to see what he's in. What do you think of Brendan Rice? Day three. I didn't see the draft the draft call yet for Fautanu. I enjoy watching those though. It's pretty cool getting to see people's dreams literally come true. What's good, George? Appreciate you tapping in. Malachi has a sick name. Yeah, I mean it could be Corley, man. I'm okay. So for example, if they went center around 2, like let's just say Frazier fell to them at 51, and they got Corley at 84, they traded up in the 3rd round to get Corley, I could stomach it more. It's just Corley at 51 would really scare me, to be honest with you. It's just my opinion, but we'll see. Obviously, if he comes to the Berg, I'll be rooting for him. I'd rather be wrong. I hope they can get Keon Coleman. I'm very interested to see where Coleman goes. I just think that you have to use him as a power slot. Like if you put him out there at X, it's just not going to work, man. I just don't think he separates well enough. Just don't think he separates enough, man. All right, so we got 10 minutes, man. I'll take any more further questions that y'all got. We'll talk for a little bit longer, and then I will say sayonara and allow you guys to go bother Zach and the crew. Corley running slant screens, part of the run game would be fun. I mean, yeah, like he's a fun player. I think that sometimes the lines get blurred between fun and good. I'm not saying that Corley can't be good. I just don't know if he's good enough at the wide receiver stuff. Here's the thing too, and I'll say this if he is the pick, I don't think anyone can definitively say right now if Malachi Corley is an NFL caliber wide receiver. I don't think there's enough on his tape to say one way or another. So that's just my opinion of it because he hasn't been asked to do a ton of it. You have a great podcast. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Have you been seeing all of Troy's Steeler fans tweets? People are finding, yeah. I retweeted a couple of them. I think he said Big Ben was the GOAT. What was the other one? I saw there was one that he was talking trash about Baltimore. I think that was pretty funny. My guy Tyler said if they draft Corley, Sutton better be coming shortly after. Oh yeah, and I think that would be the. I honestly would see that as the scenario. I refuse to believe that they would want to go out there with Corley as like the wide receiver two as a rookie. Like he's a guy to me that is a very much an auxiliary piece early on, and you kind of try to mold him into a receiver, but you can't rely on him to be like your number two option. Definitely not. Got Pickens at 52. Imagine AD at 51. I'm telling you, man, the stream, the rant is going to be epic if it happens. 100%. 100%. What's up, DB? What's good? What's good? Excited for night two, man. I'm hype. I'm hype. I'm hype. Not sure if it's been said yet, but what do you think of the Bengals and Ravens picks? Amarius Mims is such a Bengals pick, man. Such a Bengals pick. He's such a Bengals tackle. I think it was a good fit for him, though. They like to run a lot of gap, a lot of power. He'll be a good fit there. I think he's gotta fix his base a little bit, play with a little bit better pad level in the run game, latch and sustain a little bit better. The pass pro stuff is super good though. I'm really excited to see him match up with TJ because I think Mims will eventually play at some point this year. Because I mean they signed Trent Brown, but Trent Brown's never healthy. Like Mims is going to play eventually, and he'll probably play against the Steelers at least once. But I thought it was a good pick. You know, that's pretty much where I had him. I think I had him 17th. And I thought that if the Steelers, if they were going to have a shot at him, it was just because someone else fell to the Bengals at 18. I thought that maybe they would go edge rusher with the Hendrickson news coming out. There was a couple of them on the board. I mean, Verse was still out there. Ravens, they took Wiggins. I think, yeah, it was fine. I was around the range I thought he would go to. Wiggins is awesome. Like his coverage tape's really good. Explosive, the long speed. I said on the channel, I did a video of it. It's funny because a lot of the Ravens fans have found the video now on my channel, so they've been commenting on it today. Because I guess everybody's looking for YouTube stuff on Nate Wiggins. But I said in the video, I think he's one of the fastest, if not the fastest corner I've ever evaluated. He has a different gear than really anybody does. But I thought they were solid picks. Nothing too crazy that concerns me. What the Ravens is, it always seems like every single year, some top 10 talent ends up falling to them at 25, and that's what really ticks me off. But I don't think that happened this year to either one of those teams, so I guess that's good. You aren't a little bit worried of a toxic explosion in the receiver room, Mitchell and Pickens? I mean, I'm a little bit worried. I'll get over it. I will sleep well, really, really well tonight if that happens. I don't know. I mean, I can see both sides of it, right? I could see the Steelers not want another high maintenance wide receiver, but at the end of the day, I want the guy that I think can be one of the better X receivers in the league, even if it means that there might be some maintenance to do between him and Pickens. But there's only 2 receivers that we had in for a visit. Now they brought in McCaffrey too. Corley as well, I think. Right? So there were a couple more than that. Mitchell and Pickens are former teammates. Yep. What do you think of Calvin Austin going forward? I kind of see Calvin. It's funny because the player that I kind of thought of a little bit when he was coming out was old Titans receiver. Now he plays for the Lions. Khalif Raymond, kind of a similar type of archetype, but kind of shot play guys who can help you on special teams a little bit. Ideal kind of wide receiver, like wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3, maybe types. I think Austin could eventually get there. But I like him just in terms of, having some speed on offense. I don't necessarily think he's necessarily a roster lock, but I do think he's going to make it. But I like Calvin. It sucked that he got hurt as a rookie too. Like I think some people are like forgetting that too, right? Some of the stuff from last year, him being in his second year, but it was really just his rookie year. He didn't get the chance to play at all. So, let's see. We got a couple more minutes here. I'm going to hop Javon Baker at 98. It would just be out of left field. Like Baker's definitely worth the 98 pick, 100%. It's just I just don't think there hasn't been any public interest for me to believe that that's going to happen. You know what I mean? DB, I know you've been grinding. I appreciate the content insight. Let's hope you're happy tonight. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. I hope so. We'll see. It's been fun because I mean, so far, the way that Khan has drafted has been very much in line with like how I view players and how I like mostly what I would have done. So it helps when it aligns like that. Now we'll see if me and him both look like idiots here in 5 years or 3 years, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I feel really confident that they're going to get at least one player I like tonight. Hopefully, a couple, maybe all three. We'll see. Why didn't Cal do kick return duty? Seemed like we return them more than most. Would he not be the best weapon? I mean, he could do it, but it's gonna be it's gonna be Patterson this year. So I mean, kind of a no point to be honest with you. Who's your top 5 remaining wide receivers? I probably should have said this earlier in the stream, but my best available is the ticker at the bottom. I think my best receivers available. Let me try to see if I can go and find my list real quick. I know Mitchell's one. Man, I've wrote a lot of stuff over the past couple weeks. Mitchell's one. I mean, he hit a first round grade for me. He's still on the board right now. McConkey would be 2. Franklin would be 3. McMillan would be 4. Jalen Polk would be 5. Guys after that would be Javon Baker, Keon Coleman, Jermaine Burton, Roman Wilson, Tez Walker. Corley's at 19 for me. Not still available, but just in general. Yeah, it is. Here's the thing. I know I said this last night on stream too, but like what I have been told is that when his blood sugar is under control, he really likes football. Mitchell. He's competitive as hell. So I think that to me is the number one thing I care about because I want to know if I'm going to get burned like Justin Gilbert situation here where guy gets into a league and he just doesn't care at all about ball. But it's not like that for Mitchell from what I understand. It's kind of a jerk, especially like when he's, his blood sugar's not right. The diabetes stuff is going to have to be managed. But it's just like I said in the breakdown that I did for the channel. It's not enough for me to move off of the way that I feel about him on tape. I think his tape's really good. I think the traits are exceptional. I think he's going to be a really good player. And I think for real, Pittsburgh's the best place for him to land because I've seen Mike Tomlin work magic with this dude, like these types of dudes over the years. AB, Juju, Claypool, even George. George had 1,000 yards in the second season with a bad quarterback or multiple bad quarterbacks, excuse me. So I've seen them be able to, kind of harness this type of energy and, get the most out of these guys. So I think they could do it again. So, all right, it's 6:45. McConkey, he is nice. He can play a little bit for sure. I just don't know if the Steelers would like it because of his size. I think they want a bigger receiver just based on all the visits and different things. But I appreciate you guys tapping in with me. Again, the game plan, Follow Tanu Film Room is up. So if y'all want something to look at, before the Steelers pick or whatever, y'all can go look at that or something later tonight. I will be on here after. I don't think I'll come over here after the first pick. It'll probably just be after all 3. But I'll come over here. I'll get my thoughts, instant reaction. We may go live. We may not. It'll just kind of depend on who they pick, to be honest. But I will have something later tonight too. Also, tomorrow I'll have even more content up. So just make sure you got, notifications set up, all that stuff. And, you'll get notified, all that stuff. But I'm hoping to get some film room stuff out. But if y'all are looking for, a place to go, a place to hang out, make sure y'all go kick it over at the Around the 412 YouTube channel. Zach, Smitty, Joe, all those guys, they're really entertaining. I will be over there in the chat, so y'all will see me over there. So if y'all want to go over there and hang out, come hang out with me. And then I'll holler at y'all in a couple hours, man. I'm really excited. Thoughts and prayers, fingers crossed. AD Mitchell, no matter what. And I will hopefully we'll be back. Everybody to be in a good mood. But y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend, man. And I will holler at y'all very soon. Peace.